Welcome back, everyone. So glad to have you here for another deep dive, this time going even deeper into the world of Neville Goddard.
Yeah.
Last time we were talking about imagination and how it can shape your reality and kind of got a feel for that. But today, we're going to be focusing more on consciousness itself,
That's right.
its role in manifesting your desires. And we'll be drawing from a couple of really cool sources this time, right?
Absolutely. So we are going to be looking at chapter 2 of Neville's At Your Command,
Oh, cool.
and then drawing some really interesting parallels from the book of John in the Bible.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So Neville Goddard starts out with this line, "In the beginning was the Word," but he's not talking about like the book of Genesis here, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So he sees this beginning as the birth of a desire within us.
Okay,
And the word is that desire kind of taking shape.
got it.
Yeah.
So every time we have a new desire, it's like a new beginning in a way?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the key here is desire alone isn't enough.
Mm.
It needs to be united with consciousness to really have power. And that's where the next part of the verse comes in. And the word was with God.
Ah, okay. So that's where the God element comes in. But is Neville talking about a supernatural being here?
Not quite. Remember, for Neville, God is really synonymous with our own consciousness,
Right.
with the I am,
Okay.
that fundamental awareness of being.
Right. That sense of I exist and
Mhm.
and things only exist because we're aware of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the word, our desire needs to be joined with our God, our consciousness, to become reality.
Mm.
It's this fusion of wanting and being aware that makes things happen.
Okay. So I was starting to see the connection here. So
Yeah.
it's not just about wishing for something, but it's about aligning your awareness, your consciousness with that desire.
Yes. And Neville really emphasizes this with the line, two shall agree as touching anything.
Hmm.
But he's not talking about two people agreeing.
Right.
It's about an internal agreement between your awareness, your consciousness, and your desire.
So not two people, but two aspects of yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and he uses a really great example of this. Like, let's say we're wanting good health. It's not enough to just say, I want to be healthy.
Right.
The real shift happens when you can feel, I am healthy, even if your physical body isn't quite there yet. You know,
Right.
that's the agreement.
So it's almost like stepping into the reality you want to create before it physically manifests.
Yeah.
Feeling it as true now.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Okay.
And this actually leads us to another really fascinating point that Neville brings up, and that's Moses and the I am.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So he quotes Moses as saying, I am hath sent me.
Now, if I am is our awareness, what does it mean to be sent by it?
That's a really great question. That's kind of the question that Neville wants us to ponder, right?
Yes.
If our awareness is really the source, the ultimate creator, then everything that we experience is, in a way, sent by that awareness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's not about some external force kind of controlling our lives, but it's about our own awareness shaping our experiences.
It is. And this actually ties into another really famous quote from Moses, which is, I am that I am.
Right.
And Neville uses this to highlight that you can't bring your old limitations, your old beliefs into a new state of consciousness.
So to manifest a new desire, you have to kind of let go of the old story you're telling yourself.
Precisely. Yeah. You can't hold on to the identity of the broke person, right?
Yeah.
While trying to manifest financial abundance. It just doesn't compute.
Okay. That makes sense. So how do we practically make this shift?
Yeah.
What does Neville suggest?
Well, he outlines a really, really powerful 3-step process.
Okay.
The first step is detach from the problem, the current reality that isn't serving you.
So stop dwelling on the lack.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Second, dwell in the feeling of I am.
Okay.
That pure awareness without any labels or limitations.
So it sounds like a kind of meditation, but with a very specific purpose.
You could say that, yeah.
Okay.
And then finally, within that formless state of I am, feel the new desire as already true. Not visualizing it, but genuinely embodying the feeling of it being real now.
So it's not just about thinking about what you want, but feeling it as if it's already yours.
Exactly,
How's
yeah.
that?
It's about aligning your inner state with the reality that you want to experience. And this actually brings us to another really powerful analogy in the book of John.
Yeah.
And that's the good shepherd and the sheep.
Okay. I remember that story, but how does that connect to manifesting desires?
Well, think of it this way. Awareness is the good shepherd, and the things we are aware of being are the sheep.
Hmm.
It's a metaphor for the relationship between our consciousness and our experiences.
Okay. Okay. I'm intrigued. So tell me more about this shepherd and his flock.
Right. So the passage says, "I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me."
Right.
And Neville's interpretation of this is that you are always guided by your awareness.
Hmm.
What you focus on, what you believe about yourself, that's what you experience.
So if I'm constantly focused on lack and problems, then that's what I'm going to attract into my life.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But the reverse is also true.
Okay.
If you cultivate an awareness of abundance, worthiness, joy, that's what you'll attract.
That's both empowering and a little scary. It really emphasizes personal responsibility.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
for creating your reality.
Yeah. And this leads us to another really, really crucial point that Neville makes, and that's the need to revalue ourselves.
Okay.
He uses this quote from the Book of Numbers where people are feeling like grasshoppers next to giants.
Right.
Right, I remember that. But how does he apply that to our own lives?
Well, he explains that the giants represent our problems and our fears.
Right.
And we feel small and powerless in their presence because we first see ourselves that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's our own self-perception that kind of creates this imbalance of power.
So it's not that the challenges aren't real, but it's our reaction to them.
Exactly.
It's shaped by our own self-image.
Exactly. Yeah. And this raises a really, really powerful question.
Okay.
How would your world change if you started feeling like a giant, a center of power in relation to your challenges?
That's a thought-provoking question for sure. It seems like Neville is constantly reminding us that we underestimate our own power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to illustrate this further, he brings in the example of Jesus.
Okay.
Now, before you think we're getting into theology here,
Right.
remember Neville's really focusing on the psychological and the spiritual lessons. Okay.
Okay.
So how does Jesus fit into this idea of consciousness and personal power?
Well, Neville points out that even Jesus, who is often seen as the symbol of divine power, had to overcome human limitations.
Right.
He faced his own giants, so to speak.
Right, right.
Right.
So how did he deal with these challenges? Did he just magically make them disappear?
Not quite. Neville suggests that Jesus ascended to the Father by shifting his consciousness to the desired state and becoming one with it. He embodied the reality he wanted to experience.
So instead of being overwhelmed by his problems, he shifted his awareness to a state of power and overcame them.
Exactly. Yeah. And the implication here is that if Jesus could do it, it suggests a possibility for everyone.
Right.
We all have this capacity to transcend our limitations and manifest our desires by changing our awareness.
That's incredibly hopeful. It means we're not just at the mercy of external circumstances, but we have this power to shape our own reality from within.
That's the essence of Neville's message,
Right.
And to make this even more concrete, he
Yeah.
he offers this beautiful analogy of the I am knocking at the door.
Okay. I love a good analogy, so tell me about this knocking at the door.
Okay. So imagine this. The knock represents your desire, the thing that you want to experience.
Right.
And the door is your consciousness, your state of awareness.
So opening the door means letting that desire in,
Yeah.
allowing it to become part of your reality.
Exactly. Yeah. To feel the desire as impossible is to keep that door shut.
Right.
Doubt and disbelief are like these heavy deadbolts preventing your desire from entering your experience.
So if we want to manifest our desires, we need to swing that door wide open and embrace them fully.
You got it. Yeah. It's about rising in consciousness to the naturalness of the thing desired.
Mhm.
Not forcing it to happen, but aligning your inner world with the reality you want to create.
This is making a lot of sense. It's not about denying the reality of challenges, but it's about shifting our relationship to them.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. It's about recognizing the power of our own consciousness to shape our experience.
Yeah, it's like we've been handed this incredible toolbox, but we just forget to use it.
Right.
Yeah. We get so caught up in the problems that we forget about the power within us to change things.
It's true. Yeah. We tend to focus on the giants instead of remembering that we have the power to become giants ourselves.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that core concept of I am.
Yeah.
That awareness, that consciousness is really the key to unlocking our full potential.
And the beauty of Neville's teachings is that they give us practical tools to work with this I am.
Right.
You know, techniques like the 3 steps that we talked about earlier, detaching from the problem, dwelling in the I am, and feeling the desire is real.
Yeah, it's not just some airy-fairy philosophy.
Right.
He gives us concrete ways to apply these principles in our everyday lives.
Yeah. And he reminds us that we're not alone in this journey.
Right.
Even figures like Jesus, who we often see as superhuman, had to work with these same principles of consciousness.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder that we all have that same divine spark within us, that same ability to shape our reality.
Absolutely. And as we continue to explore Neville's work in future deep dives, we'll uncover even more tools and techniques to help you master your consciousness and create the life that you truly desire.
Awesome. So for now, keep those minds open, keep exploring, and remember, you are the architect of your reality. This was the second deep dive into the world of Neville Goddard. We'll be back soon to uncover even more of his mind-blowing ideas. Until then, keep those imaginations firing. See ya on the next deep dive.